Hello and welcome to Floorplanner. My name is Bob and I am here as your customer success representative. And I want to feature today some different language. So let's talk about looking at multiple floors and multiple designs in Floorplanner. So I am logged into my Floorplanner account and let's go ahead and look at my projects. I have one already developed that we started with one floor. So I've named it my multiple floor and multiple design. Something I want to bring to your attention is that this project, so I've selected it with a single click, you can see that it is a level 2 project. I've upgraded this from a level 1 to a level 2 project. It's really important because you need to be a level 2 project to go ahead and create a multiple story project and or a multiple design project all within the same one project. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this now level 2 project. And I've gone ahead and sped things up a little bit to go in and actually build a room about 20 feet by 15 feet, did a little furniture configuration, placed some doors and some windows just to give this something to work from. And I even put in a staircase. I'm working with a 10-foot high ceiling when I built this room. And I found a staircase that was in our library that was also accommodating to a 10-foot high ceiling. So we've got this in 2D, and I want to show you some of these different features that we can do, of course, a level 2 project. And if you want to go ahead and generate multiple designs of the same project, the same actual floor that we're working on, or multiple stories of a project. So in the upper left-hand corner, you have a tab up here that is for multiple designs and multiple floors. Now in your upper left-hand corner, you now have a tab up here that always identifies what floor are you actually on. And if you have multiple floors already created, you can do the pull-down menu in the upper left-hand corner, and you can actually see and toggle between whatever floors you've created to make sure that's the floor that you have activated in your toolpath. Now, let's stay concentrating for a second on multiple designs. So we've built this one floor, one design, and you want to show different options to your client. So we can go ahead while this is activated, and we selected the tab up here for multiple designs and multiple floors. Now that it's activated in this editor window, you're going to have a feature in here to duplicate. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this exact design. And what it creates on your screen now is something called first design copy. The original design is called first design. So now we've created first design copy. Now we can go ahead and just keep things clear. Let's go ahead and change that name. So we're going to say edit details while we're on the activated first design copy. And I'm going to go ahead and keep with this language for a second. Of course, you can modify this language to whatever suits your company or yourself, but we're going to go ahead and call this, instead of first design, we're going to call it second design as one of the options. And no reason to have the word copy anymore, so we'll go ahead and delete that out. Now, when you rename it before you're finished, go ahead and hit the Enter key so that we've assigned this new name to this design on this one single floor. We've done multiple designs on the same single floor. Now there's no reason why I can't take this design again now that it is the activated design, and I could go ahead and make another copy of it and just say, let's go ahead and duplicate it again. And there it is now, it's second design copy. And we're going to go ahead and change that name. We'll do this exercise one more time. Say, let's go ahead and edit the details on that. And we're going to call this the third design. So maybe you're going to have 3 different options for your client to view. Say third design. And again, we're going to delete the word copy at this point because there's no reason for it. And again, hit the Enter key so that it's accepted and you have that in your project. So at this point, if you want to see these multiple designs of the same project and you want to toggle between them, go ahead and select where it says 3 designs. In the 3 designs, you get thumbnails now over here on the left-hand side over in this editor window, and you can toggle and make whichever one you want to be active on this. Of course, we're still on the first floor. So you have these multiple designs on the first floor. We can say, there was our first design. I'm going to go ahead and activate the second design. And maybe you didn't want to show a sofa. So we can go ahead and delete the sofa. And maybe one of these chairs to be over here instead. And maybe you want to rotate them and rotate just to show it a little bit different. Maybe this particular project you didn't want to have the chair and table out on the balcony. So we have a different version that we can show your client. We can hit our save button. Of course, always save out to the cloud as regularly as you can. And this design now is as a second design. Now, if we go back in here and say, let's toggle between these designs again, and let's go in here and take a look at the third design. Maybe the third design, you didn't want these chairs anymore. And we just want to keep the sofa in there, and we didn't want to show anything on our patio at all. So a little bit different. And go ahead and save. So again, now you have three designs saved in your same one project called Multi-Floor and Multi-Design that we named this project. And you can toggle between all three of these. So we can go back to the first design. That was the original design as we started at the very beginning. And we can toggle on, just select the next thumbnail over here. And this is what the second design was. And of course, we could go up here to the third design. So you have these three options that you can show live with your client. You could also go ahead and certainly activate any individual one and go ahead and print these, send them out as exports, send them out as a PDF. Remember, as a level 2 project, you can also now send out as a JPEG, PNG, or as a PDF. So this is how you generate your multi-designs. Now, when we start building multiple floors, it'll be coming of interest that you can also set your design within this project to be the default design, so that when you open the project, it goes right to the specific design of these multiple options that you've created. And again, that could come in handy when you're going ahead and maybe copying a floor to another floor, and you want to, and it's like, well, you have multiple designs on that floor. Which design are you copying to another floor? It's going to be your default. So let's talk about defaults for a second. We go to the first design in here, and that is now the one that is activated. And while it's activated as first design, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, it's activated. You can go in here and go down to something that says Edit Details. And Edit Details, you're going to have a feature in here that you can make this design in your project the default design. And just select Make Default, which we have done. So this will be our default design. Again, you could go back there to any tab, open them up, and go ahead and change in those edit details and set another design on this one floor to be your default design. So that is done. And that's pretty simple. The multiple designs, a lot clearer with the 2021 release. Very easy to have this nice editor window here on the left-hand side to do so. Now, let's talk about multiple floors. Maybe you have a townhome and this is just the ground floor, and you want to go ahead and build a second floor and a third floor above it and stack them so you can view it in 3D. And we're also having a staircase, which I did place in there with just some simple placement. And we're going to talk about also how to maybe cut a hole in the floor too, so you can see through your staircase. But for right now, we just have one floor with multiple designs. So let's go ahead and place a copy of this above it as a second floor. Now, you have in here this crosshair. This one crosshair point shows on your graph paper. You've probably seen that out there before. That's an origin point. That same point is a reference point for every floor of your building. So if you ever needed to drag a plan to try to line items up to get the walls of your floors to actually align with each other, it's a good reference point that if you had to drag everything into that corner to have the same point on every single floor, you will be able to stack your items a little bit better. But I'll show you another trick of how to really truly align multiple floors. If you go ahead and build your first floor at the very beginning, of course, there's structural walls inside there. There's load-bearing walls that are being created that will most likely transfer up to the floor above. Maybe not all of the walls, but certainly some of them. So to have them completely aligned with each other, I like to build the first floor and then actually duplicate the first floor above to be my second floor, keep the same structural walls, the same load-bearing walls, keep them in place, don't move them, and delete the excess on my second floor, and then create the rest of my second floor. That way I know for sure everything's completely aligned with each other. Or if you had any difficulty afterwards, like I said, you can go ahead and relocate this plan to be closer to this origin point. So let's talk about doing the duplication first. So let's say we've got our floor, we're ready. We're going to go ahead and make another floor above it. So in the pull down menu in the upper left hand corner, which is where you identify your floors, we're going to go ahead and open that pull down menu, and you'll see where it notes that we are on the first floor. And over here is a gear. This gear, you'll see this all throughout Floorplanner, is a settings tab. So anytime you see a gear, it just goes further into the settings of something that you're identifying there, which for our case right now is first floor. We'll go to the settings of the first floor. And in the settings of the first floor, no great surprise in here, there is a duplicate tab, which is how we're going to duplicate this to be our second floor. Now, there's also a floor height in here. We know that our floor height in this room right now is 10 feet. We set our wall heights to be 10 feet. Floorplanner has some automation inside it. I would let this stay as your default. If for any reason you have any trouble with that down the road, this can, if you see some separations between your floors, something may have altered in here, but allow Floorplanner to go ahead and compensate for it automatically. Don't change that number up front unless you have difficulty later. So we're going to go ahead and take this floor and duplicate it. Hit duplicate, and what do we have? We have, similar to what we had with the designs, now we have a first floor copy. So we're going to go ahead and rename this right out front and call this second floor, because you don't want to have confusion down the road when you're trying to work with your model. So let's go ahead and call this second floor. And again, since it's now second floor, we can take the word copy out of there, get that confusion out. Now, this is the second floor, and you can visually see with this new editor window over here on the left-hand side, there's the second floor, there's the first floor. So if you want to move this floor in location below the other, you just push it down. Well, for right now, we know it's the second floor, so we do want it sitting actually above as we had. And at that point, everything's in place. I'm gonna hit my Enter tab, and everything should be good. Let's go ahead and close that out. Hit Enter, close. Okay, now I'm gonna hit Save, make sure my file is saved, and see up here in the upper left-hand corner, we've now created two floors. Now, if we go to back to our first floor, you can toggle between the two. There's your first floor. And I can go up here again, and I can toggle in here again and make it the second floor. Notice that the designs are identical because we made the first floor's default that one design, which was the first design. And since it was, when we copied this floor, it took the first design up to the second floor. If you wanted that otherwise, you would have to change the default before you copied. Now, if for some reason you wanted to align items in a different way, you do have this origin point, although right now our walls are completely aligned. We know that. But if for some reason, let's pretend that it was otherwise, there is a transform design. So we're sitting on the second floor. We can say transform design. And one of the transform designs is you can flip designs vertically and horizontally. There's also something called pivot. Now, pivot will actually select the entire model, and you can actually drag it to try to align more with this origin point if that's the way you're trying to align your floors. So pivot will allow you to drag the entire plan into place. But we don't need to do that because we did go ahead and make an exact copy and exact placement. So you have two different modes that you can work with just to make sure that everything's aligned above and below between the first and second floor. I'll close this out for a second. Okay, now we're sitting on the second floor. So let's save our file. And let's go ahead and go into 3D in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, looking as a bird's eye view, dollhouse view, straight down on our model, I can go ahead and twirl around. And you can see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen again that you are truly sitting on the second floor. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into our settings for a second. while we're in 3D. Of course, settings change. If you're in 2D, there's a 2D settings, and when you're in 3D, there's a 3D settings. Remember that gear again. There's the gear. We open this up. We're going to say show floors below. It's a tab. And when you turn that on, and because we're sitting on the second floor, it says show floors below. And I'm just using my mouse to go ahead and navigate around so you can see that the two floors that we've created from the first floor and the duplicate that we called second floor are nicely stacked. Nice alignment, no strange separations going on. I will tease with you for a second is that there is a cool feature also in here in 3D in the settings where we said show floors below. You have to be on upper floor to see show floors below, of course. You also have the slide bar here that you can actually go ahead and separate the floors. So if you want to do a study, you're making a presentation with your client, you will show the relationship between your floors. This is really cool, but go ahead and make sure you close that out, set it back down to 0 so there is no separation between your floors and you get a good view out of it. Now I went ahead and copied that staircase, which was on the first floor. Maybe I'm only doing a 2-story project. So I'm going to show you some tricks with that staircase where I actually copied it to the second floor purposely because I want to use it as a guide because we're going to punch a little hole in the floor too so we can see straight through. So at this point, that is most of your information with how to align two floors completely, how to edit the placement of them that we talked about with the pivot if you had to align them based on that origin point. Be cautious. There's a lot of automated features that go behind the scenes within Floorplanner. So my floor was, all my walls were completely 10 feet high. So be cautious of changing any heights. Make sure that all of your walls are truly at the same height. Because some people I've seen, they've had some difficulties where they do a multi-story that there's some separation in between the floors. Now, Floorplanner will try to read a wall and its height and make adjustments accordingly. This worked great because everything was clear. Those balconies are nothing but balconies attached. There's no strange wall heights out there. If you try to create like a small half wall or something, Floorplanner will try to read that. So try to keep it as clean as possible and keep your walls continuous, keep them nice and straight. As you can see, this works really well. So let's take a moment and actually talk about those staircases. So I'm sitting on the second floor in the upper left-hand corner. You can see that. I'm going to go to my 2D view. And again, I don't want another staircase. I'm not going to build a third floor, but I let the staircase copy because I wanted to show its placement. I wanted to see where it was on the second floor, because obviously when I come up the stair, I'm going to have this landing up here. And I know that when I make an opening, it's not going to be as long as the entire staircase because your head will clear at some point. So if you know what that dimension is, that's great. But I'm going to show you how to actually do a cutout in the floor. And then we're going to go ahead and delete this staircase that's sitting on the second floor because we only need the one staircase from the first floor. So let's go ahead and go into our hammer, which is for construction. And let's look at the draw surface command. Now that we've activated the draw surface, I'm going to go ahead and strike a point over here by the wall right there. And then I'm going to make my second point out here where the staircase is coming through the floor. And when you make your third point, you'll start seeing that you're actually creating a surface. Now, if you knew the exact dimension, I'm just going to go about halfway down the distance of the staircase, select a third point, and then complete this to make a hole in the floor over to back to the wall. And I can hit escape at that point, and I've gone ahead and created a surface sitting on the floor. So I don't need the staircase. It's the second staircase, which is sitting on the second floor. I just used it as a guide. That's why I kept it. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And there is that surface I created. Surfaces, when you create them, will naturally try to be on ground zero, which is where I want it to be sitting right now. That is the floor of the second floor. Now, I need to do one more thing. I'm going to select that specific surface that I just created and go over to, again, as we've done multiple times in this little session, is that we're going to go to settings, Go into settings, and you see there's a tab over here in the settings of this surface, and one of them is called cutout. So if we go ahead and turn on the cutout, you'll notice that that has actually cut a hole in my floor. And I'm going to go up here and hit my save button. And let's go ahead and go into 3D again. As I'm sitting, as you can see, on my second floor, go into 3D. And you'll notice, since we do still have our show floors below is still turned on, so we can twirl around our space. You can see we have the one single staircase inside. You can see it through the doors. And if you're doing a study from the space up above, you can see that that cutout that we just placed on the floor as a surface and identified it in the settings to be cut out, you can now see down through the staircase down to the first floor. So that's how you can really get even a better connection between your floors. We've got a multi-story going on, and we've talked about the multiple designs and how when you can do multiple designs on any floor and how you can set the default, the one you desire to be in your 3D model, go ahead and set those to be your particular defaults. Hope this has given you a little bit more guidance and direction, some inspiration for venturing into level 2 projects and working with multiple designs and also working with multi-story projects. Enjoy. Have a great day. Thank you.